Hi viewers, welcome to this video. We are divided into the movie Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Today we'll explore the movie storytelling, summarize the plot and discuss the cast and characters. We will also take a closer look at the film production details and its box office performance. Plus we will share review and reactions to give you a well-rounded perspective. So let's get started. Directed by Brad Pitt, produced by Tom Cruise, J.J. Abrams, Brian Berg, written by Josh Album, Andre Nemick, based on Mission Impossible by Bryce Keller, starring Tom Cruise, Jerry Renner, Simon Pegg, Paul Patton, music by Michael Giacchino, cinematography Robert Alvis, edited by Paul Harish, studio Skydance Production, TC Production, Bad Robot Production. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is a 2011 American action spy film directed by Brad Bird and written by Josh Album and Andrew Nemick. It is the fourth installment in the Mission Impossible film series and also Bird's first live-action film starred Tom Cruise, who repaired his role of IMF agent Ethan Hunt alongside Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, Paul Patton, Mitchell Nyqvist, Anil Kapoor, and Leo Sediox. Ghost Protocol was produced by Cruise J.J. Abrams, the third film directed, and Brian Berg. It saw the return of editor Paul Harish and visual effects supervisor John Connell from the first film, and is also the first Mission Impossible film to be practical filmed, usually IMAX camera. Released in the United States by Paramount Pictures on 16 December 2011, the film was critical and commercial success. Ghost Protocol becomes the highest grossing film in the series with $694 million, as well as the fifth highest grossing film of 2011 and the highest grossing film starting cruise. A sequel, Mission Impossible Rejuvenation, was released in 2015 July. Plot. Spoiler warning. The following contain important plot details of the entire film. IMF agent Trey Henry is killed in Budapest by assassin Sabina Moria, who takes the film containing Russian unclear launch codes he had stolen. She can give them to a man known only as a callback. Meanwhile, IMF agent Ethan Hunt has probably become increased into a Moscow prison to acquire Bogdan, a source of information on Kolbat, with help of Jena Central, Hanny Avi-Hander and newly promoted film agent Benji Dunn. Hunt and Bogan make their escape. IMF tasks Hunt to infiltrate the Kremlin to gain more information on COVID. During the mission, an unknown interior broadcast on the IMF frequency ordering the Hunt's team about the mission just as a bomb destroys much of the Kremlin. Creator and Dunn escape, but Hunt is captured by SRV agent anti-soldier and charged with the destruction of the Kremlin. Hunt is able to escape and recruit with the IMF secretary, who is in America on other business. The secretary tells Hunt they have had to intake Ghost Protocol discovering IMF, but secretary orders Hunt to continue to produce callback. Side over forces catch up to Hunt and the secretary is killed. Hunt escapes along with the secretary ahead. Our intelligence analyst William Brand reproduction with career and done. Brand is able to identify Koblet as Kurt Hendricks. Hendricks, a Swedish-born Russian unclear status, who seeks to start unclear war between the USA and Russian. Hendricks used the Kremlin bomb to cover up his theft of a Russian. Bombing to cover his theft, a Russian unclear launch control device, and New is planning a trade with Moria at the Burj Khalifa is Dubai to gain the required launch codes. The team traveled to Dubai. On the 119th floor of the hotel, the create description using their various capti and disguise to make Moria believe she is meeting with Hendrix and which was when in fact they are interacting with the IMF team. Moria discovered the distraction and in the accusing Chow, Hendrix managed to escape with the launch codes, losing her pursuit in the mid of a dust storm. Kicked not Moria off a window to her death when she tries to escape. Brand escape of her length, her love for Anyway compares, but Hans recognized the brand as also been keeping secrets from them, having shown combat skill typical of a mere analyze. Hunt combat skill typical of a mere analyze. Hunt leaves to meet with Bodgen to got more information on Hendrix, while Brand talks in the other that had been assist to secretly protect Ethan and his wife Julia in Cortia. Julia had been killed by a hit secret and Brandit feels responsible for Ethan's loss, which is why he stopped being a fired agent. Bogdan tracked Ethan towards Mumbai, where Hendrix is set by Nether with India Telecommunication Interport Bajinath to gain control of a obsolete sweet military satellite. The IMF team split up to Hendrik career Sirius North to satellite override code, while Hunt Brandt and Danny try to handicap from using net broadcast station. They are too late as Hendrix has sent the launch codes to a Russian Delta third class unclear submarine to fire a single mission at San Francisco and disable the station computer system. Disable the station computer system brand and done race to get system online to send the override code while Hunt pursued Hendrik, eventually fighting him face to face in a automated car park. Hendrik with the launch device jumps to his death moments before the missile is set to land Hand then uses one of the cars and takes a dangerous fall to use the device. He bravely disables the missile before it strikes. Sidar Vohal follows IMF from Dubai to Mumbai, arrives and realizes that IMF is incorrect of the criminal bombing. The team meets in satellite after Ethan accepts a new mission from Lothar Strickle Brand, confusing to Ethan about his failure to protect Julian. Ethan, however, relieves that her death and murder of these Trebians were part of a plot to give her a new identity and enable Earth to infiltrate Prison. A relieved Brand happily accepts his mission and became an agent once again. Meanwhile, Julia arrives. The horrible Ethan and Julia gets at each other from after before Ethan departs off his next mission. Cast: Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, Jerry Renner as William Brandt, Simone Pegg as Benji Dunn, Paul Patton as Gina Sutter, Michael Nepfit as Scott Hendrick, Anil Kapoor as Percy Nath, and Indian media to Con. Lee Sedux as Sabina Moria, Vladimir Meshkok as Antalo Sandru. Production: Dispatch Mission Impossible 3, earning less than its project at the box office. Its critical respect was much better than the second film, and Proton Picture was keen on developing a fourth in the series. In August 2009, Josh Albam and Andrew Nemec were hired to write the film's screenplay because of other community. J.J. Abrams said that it was unlikely for him to return as directed but made note that he was produced the film and Goliath Tom Cruise. By March 2010, director Brad Bird was in talk of directing the film that Cruise returned to star and Ethan Hunt. The film was originally announced with a working name of Mission Impossible 4 and code name arrived during early production. By 2010 August, title considering did not include the Mission Impossible 4 name and code name arrived during early production. By August 2010, title conduction did not including the Mission Impossible 4 name and thought was given to Out Limited the special team Mission Impossible, which Variety compared to Christopher Nolan Batman sequel film The Dark Knight. in late October 2010. However, the title was confirmed as a Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Christopher McQuarrie, who later directed Mission Impossible, Wrong Nation and Mission Impossible, forwarded an uncredited reward of the screenplay, explaining that on Ghost Protocol, I came in on the middle of the shoot to do a rewrite of the on Ghost Protocol, I came on the middle of the shoot to do a rewrite of the screenplay. Thought they had already started the movie. I had to continue with interior staff to detail what I could and I could catch, with sets and been built or served. What seats had been built or struck, what scenes I could or could not reshoot. I learned too much about production being right there. The script had these fantastic sequences in it, but there was a mystery. It is that very collaborate. What I did was about clarity. The masterpiece the masterpiece had to meet similar it like reaching into a sock and pulling inside out. It's still a sock, still all same pieces, but all put together in different order. The film was particularly shot with IMAX cameras, which up approximately 30 minutes of the film runtime. Right inside that certain scene of the film he shot in IMAX as opposed to 3D, as they feel that the IMAX format offered the viewer more impression due to his brightness, higher quality image, which is protected on a larger screen with the need of supplement glasses, but also believe that the IMAX format would bring back a level of showmanship to the presentation of Hollywood film, which he believes the industry has lost due to its inception or screen film in multiplex as opposed to grand theaters and voting first run in favor of winter interior release. When we were first looking at the image of Tom climbing the beach in long shoots, we could not only see the traffic in the reflections. When we first looking at the image of Tom climbing the bush in the long shoots, we could not only see the traffic in the reflections when he passed down on the glass, but you actually saw the glass fall silently because of the pressure of his hand. You would never see that in 35 mm. The fact that the screen filmed your version and is super sharp seems more lifelike. Brad Bird describing the adventure of film in the IMAX format. Many of the film interior scenes were shot at Vancouver Canadian Motivation Pictures Park Studio, including a key transition scene, a specially imbued IMF train car, and the fight between Hunt and Hendrick in a Mumbai automated multi-level parking garcia, which was considered over a 6-month period just for the film. The film climax scene was shot with Indian film actor Anil Kapoor in the Sun Network office in Bangalore. The film opening Moscow Persian escape scenes were shot on location in a real format based in Prague. Batch, having directed Survival Destiny and Pixel Film and Shoot Film, incorporated the trademark A130 into the film on two separate occasions. The first is the design print on hand away ring during the flashback sequence, and the second being when Hunt calls in for sport and use the drop calling sequence, and the second being when Hunt call into for sport and use the drop calls Alpha 113. Soundtrack. The musical score for Ghost Protocol was composed by Michael Garcia, who also composed the music for the third film and collaborated with Bird on the Incredible and Ruthless. As in previous installment, the score incorporates La Scorpia themes from the original television series. Lalo is an amazing jazz return. You know you can't return a straight up jazz score a film like this, but you can certainly hint at it here and there, said Garcia, explaining the stylistic influence created by Shefina history with the franchise. A soundtrack album was released by various starring on 10 January 2012. All music composed by Michael Garcia. Distribution. In 2011 July, a teaser trailer for Ghost Protocol was released, illustrated new shots from the film, one of which one of which being Tom Cruise scaling the world-telling building, the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai. Moreover, prior to its release, the studio presented IMAX footage of the film. In July 2011, a teaser trailer of Ghost Protocol was released. Interesting was short film, the film of which being Tom Cruise scaling the world-stalling building, the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai. Moreover, prior is released, the studio present IMAX footage of the film to an invention only covered of opening marks and journalists at Central London BFI MX Theatre. One of the many scenes that were included was a chasing scene in a Dubai desert stand room. During November 2011, the Patreon released a Facebook game of the film in order to promote it. The new game allowed players to choose the roles of IMAX agent and assemble to team to mark and multiple journey. Players were also able to agent trick to the film USA premiere a hot-on screening of the film for 30 friends. During 2011, the Patriotism released a Facebook game of the film in to promote it. The new game allowed players to choose the role of IMF agent and assemble team for embark on multiplayer journey. Players were also able to create tricks to the film USA premiere and how-down screening of the film for 30 friends. Theatrical release. Following the world premiere in Dubai on 7 December 2011, the film was released in IMAX and other larger format theaters in the USA on 16 December 2011 with general release on 21 December 2011. Home media. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released on DVD, Blu-ray and digital download on 17th April 2012. The home media release, however, do not pressure the original IMAX image and its aspect ratio is. In 2011 July, a teaser trailer for Ghost Protocol was released, illustrating new shots from the film, one of which being Tom Cruise scaling the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa building in Dubai. Moreover, prior its release, the studio personalized IMAX footage of the film to an invention-only crowd of opening makers and journalists at the Central London's BFI MX Theatre. One of the many scenes that were included was a chase scene in a Dubai desert sandstorm. During November 2011, the Paramount released a Facebook game of the film in order to promote it. The new game allowed players to choose the role of IMF agent and assemble team to embark on multiplayer journey. Players were also able to gain tricks to the film USA premiere and a hometown screening of the film for 30 friends. During November 2011, the Paramount released a Facebook game on the film in to promote it. The new game allowed players to choose the role of IMS agent and assemble team to mark on a multiplayer journey. Players were also able to generate tickets to film USA premiere and a hometown screening of the film for 30 friends. Theatrical release. Following the world premiere in Dubai on 7 December 2011, the film was released in IMAX and larger format theaters in USA 16 December 2011 with general release on 21 December 2011. Home media. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released on DVD, Blu-ray and digital download on 17 April 2012. The home media release, however, do not pressure the original IMAX imagery and its accepts radio is. Following the world premiere in Dubai on 7 December 2011, the film was released in IMAX and other large format theaters in USA on 16 December 2011 with general release on 21 December 2011. Home media Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released on DVD, Blu-ray and digital download 17 April 2011. The home media release, however, do not pressure the original IMAX imagery and its access radio is constantly cropped to 2.14.1 rather than switching to a 1.78.1 aspect ratio during the IMAX scene. Blu-ray discs release such as the The Dark Knight to Legacy and Transformer Revenge of the Fallen will switch between 2.14.1 for regular scene and 1.78.1 for IMAX scene. The film was released on 4K UHD Blu-ray on the 26 June 2018. Critical response. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approved rate of 93% based on 238 review and an average rating of 7.7 over 10, making it the best review entry of the series at the time. The She critical comments read, "Satellite's fast-paced and lead with gripping set grips. The fourth Mission Impossible is big budget popcorn entertainment that really works." Metric assists the film a score of 73 out of 100 based on 47 criticized, indicating generally favorable review. Roger Ebert of the Gossip Time gave the film 3.5 out of the 4 stars, saying the film is a terrific, thrilling, witch action sequence that function as a night of action property stamp. Written of the star Roger Rock. The eye candy from high-tech gadgets to Garcia people has only been reached up, and so has the climbing. He also gave the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, giving the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, saying the film a traffic thrilling with action sequence that function as a kind of action pottery. Stephen written of the star luggage wrote, "The eye candy from high-tech gadgets to gadgets people has only been reached up, and so has the exclaimed." He also gave the film 3.5 out of stars, giving the film 3 out of 4 stars. Wesley Mirrors of the Boston Globe said in its file, "The movie has old Hollywood elegance. The scope and sets are vast, tall and curved but bird glasses down for Spittle Limited." Philippa Hacker of the Sydney Morning Herald gave the film 3 stars out of the 5 and said it's incredibly impossible but also quite fun. Owen Glampria of Entertainment Weekly opening that movie bring with scenes that are exacting and amazing at the same time. They are brought up with such casual moment that they refund too. Philippa Hacker of the Sunday Morning headed the game 3 stars of the 5, said it is incredibly impossible but also quite fun. On Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly opening that movie brands with scenes that are exacting and amazing at the same time. They are brought up with such casual album that they funny too. Ghost Protocol is fast and explosive, but it's also a super manly, clever, highly off-hand thriller. Brad Bird the animation waste, showing an animator masterly precise use of visual space, has a playful screw timing in visually all his own. Roger Moore of the Critica observed said Brad Bird passed his action for a career as a live action director, and Ghost Protocol more than makes it. Ben as an Ghost Protocol is fast and explosive, but it's also a super manly, cleverly sleight of hand thriller. Brad Bird the animation wizard, showing on animatory musically prized use of visual space, has a playful, stew tightening entirely all his own. Roger Moore of the Cattle observed said, Brad Bird passed his audition for a career as a live action director, and Ghost Protocol more than makes its born as argument for why Tom Cruise should continue in his role as long as his name and his nerves hold up. He gave the film 3 out of 4 stars. Box office. Ghost Protocol grossed $209,397,903 in Northern America and $845,315,477 in other countries for a worldwide total of $69,470,30,80. It is the highest grossing film worldwide in the Mission Impossible series and the fifth highest grossing film of 2011. It is also the highest grossing film worldwide, starting Cruise, passing War of the World from the top spot. In limited release at 425 locations in Northern America, it earned It earned $11.8 million over its opening weekend after 5 days of limited release. It expanded to 3.448 theaters on its sixth and reached a #1 at the box office with $8.92 million. The film reached the top stop at the box office in second and third weekend with $29.6 million, $29.4 million respectively. Though only 90% of the film screening were in IMAX theater. In limited release at 425 locations in Northern America, it earned $12.8 million over its opening weekend after 5 days of limited release. It expanded to 3,448 theaters on its sixth day and reached #1 at the box office with $8.92 million. That film reached at the top stop at the box office in second and third weekend with $29 million and $29.4 million respectively. Though only 90% of the film screening were in IMAX theater, they accounted for 23% of the film box office. Outside North America, it's distributed to a $69.5 million in 44 remarks respectively, approximately 70% of the marketplace in the United Arab Emirates. It is an opening weekend record of 2.4 million, since surpassed by Marwa in two countries outside the USA in which filming took place. Its opening weekend gross increased by multiples over the previous installment. In Russia, more than doubling. To outside North America, it dubbing to $69.5 million in 44 mark respective, approximately 70% of the marketplace in the United Arab Emirates. It set an opening weekend record of $2.4 million. Two countries outside the USA in which film took place, its opening weekend gross increased by multiples over the previous installment. In Russian, more than doubling to $6.08 million, and in India, more than quadrupling to $4.0 million. It is the second highest grossing Mission Impossible film outside North America. It topped the box office outside North America for 3 consecutive weekends during December 2011 and 5 weekends in total, the other 2 in 2012. Its highest grossing market after Northern America are China $10,002.5 million, Japan $69.7 million, and South Korea $51.1 million. Sequel. Main article Mission Impossible Rejuvenation. In December 2011, Peak suggests that he and crews were interested in reviewing for a fifth Mission Impossible film. Pyramid was also repeatedly interested in fast-tracking a fifth film due to the fourth film's success, but has stated that he probably would not directly fifth film. But Tom Cruise and had be confirmed to return. It was released in August 2013 and Christopher McQuarrie would be the director of Mission Impossible 5 principal photography being in February 2014 in London. Pronounced Picture released the film on 31 July 2015. The plot centers around Hunt's IMF team in conflict with the and international criminal organization first mentioned at the end of Ghost Protocol. See also Mission Impossible, the television series that served as inspector for the film series. External link Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol on IMDb. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Allmovie. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Metacritic. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Box Office Mojo. Mission Impossible Ghost Office at Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Rotten Tomatoes. Mission Impossible Ghost on IMDb. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol on IMDb. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Allmovie. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Metacritic. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at Box Office Mojo. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol Rotten Tomatoes. Tiles from the box office, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol biggest stunt was its massive success. The Mission Impossible franchise, much like the name implies, has been a downright impossible and wild thing in the Hollywood landscape. The movie have again all odds survived since 1996 when the original soured humble action flick starring Tom Cruise and based on the TV show of the same name was released. They have never been reported in 25 years, and other are two more movies on the way, with Cruise still at the center of it all as Ethan Hunt. Multiplayer madness awaits. Contact with player worldwide and enjoy fun challenge together. It could be argued that the franchise hit apex when Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released back in 2011 December. Even if it is not of the best of the bunch, it is certainly the most important as the movie gets ready to celebrate its 10th anniversary this week. I decided to have a look back at the fourth entry. Mission Impossible movie come to be how much it had overcome to make it to the finish line, and how it's certainly unique in the landscape of critic hit blockbuster movie. J.J. Abrams made his features directly debut with Mission Impossible 3 back in 2007. The movie managed to reboot certainly for Mission Impossible 2, which is still for my money the only bad of one punch. But Abrams was busy with Super 8 and could not return to the director chair once Performed Picture decide they want to be protected with a fourth entry. Even though M.13 was not a massive hit, it was a thunder in the eyes of critics, and with Cruise on board, there was reason to think there was gas left in the tank. The studio then made the unique choice to return to Burt Bright, known for his work on The Iron Giant and The Incredible, among other emptied blockbusters. It would serve as Burt's five life. It would serve as Burt's first live action features, and one of two he did not to date analysts the disappoint. Tomorrow were Josh Album and Andrew Nemick painted the entire screenplay, though their draft could not upending a lot of help. Enter Christopher MCQ. McCoy had been working primarily as a screenwriter in Hollywood and had worked with Cruise on Valkyria, but it was the movie where the relationship would totally blossom. Creativity, the most sanctified creative partnership in Curious' short career, MCQs was brought to in handle. Uncreated returns on the clump story, speaking on the brought it into hand uncredited story on the complex story, speaking on the light the focus broadcast, M. Korea explaining it thoroughly. On Ghost Protocol, I came in the trouble of the shoot to do a reader of the screenplay. Though they had already started the movie, I had to commute with the ether staff to determine what I could not change, what stacks and being built to or stack. What scenes I could not or could not shot. I learned so much about production being right there. The script had these fantastic sequences in it, but there was a mystery in it that very complicated. What I did was about clarity. The mystery had to be made similar. It likes reaching into a shock and peeling inside, but still a shock, still at the same piece, but all put together in a different order. In the end, debate a long complex shoot, lots of uncredited rewards, and some incredibly dangerous turns involving curious handing of the telespilled in the word. The movie was in the can by 2011 December to be unleashed on edger audience all over the place. Paramount took an interesting approach to the movie release, as much of it was shot in IMAX to imply that Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released exclusively in IMAX Theater on 16 December and managed to pull in $12.7 million in just 425 theaters on what was technically its open weekend. Best Build and come December 2013. Best Build and come 23 December. When it went wide, things Went well, Ghost Protocol arranged. Paramount took an interesting approach to the movie release as much of it was shot in IMAX to imply that Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released exclusively in IMAX theater on 16 December and managed to pull in $12.7 million in just 425 theaters on what was technically its opening weekend. Best Build and come December 23. When it went wide, things went well. Ghost Protocol earned $29.5 million domestically in its first weekend of wide release, and things just kept rolling from there. It then dropped less than 1% the following week, talking in other $29.4 million, which sold horse during the rest of its run. The movie finished with $209.3 million domestically, and as luck would have it, international audience turned into device well to the tune of $485.3 million that brought its grand total to $694.7. Much of the was audited by premium format screen as the over-the-top stunts and action demand to be on the biggest screen possible. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was the biggest movie of Curious career up to that the point, the remake's second highest grossing entry in the serial overall. 2018 Mission Impossible $787 million would eventually top it, but Ghost Protocol part the way. More than anything, it downright remarked that Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was the biggest movie of Curious' career up to the point and remarked the second highest grossing entry in the series overall. 2018 Mission Impossible flawed $787 million would intervally top it, but Ghost Protocol paved the way. More than anything, it's downright remarked that the fourth movie in a franchise that was 15 years old at the point show how managed to completely reinvigorate its same leading man, same countries, but just the right combination of sketch and timing. One would be hard pressed to find another example of that happening in Hollywood history, but especially that this scale. The lesson continued within. One of the biggest lessons for their here is that Paramount made a reasonable bet there. Yes, big movie star and established franchise, especially a decade ago before streaming loophole was a safe bet at the office box, but the studio did not let things out of hand. Movie was more $144 million, and yes, that is a big budget, but it's not overly inflated. It's actually $5 million less than the reported budget for Mission Impossible 3. Set yourself up to success. One of the biggest lessons for the year is that Permanent made a reasonable bet here. Yes, big movie and established franchise, especially a decade ago before streaming loophole, was a safe bet at the office, but the studio did not let things get out of hand. The movie was made for $145 million, and yes, that is the biggest, but it's not overinflated. That is actually $5 million less than the reported budget for Mission Impossible 3. Set yourself up to success. Beyond that, I think the idea of Netflix is not broken was incredibly wise. It would have been expect to look at what M113 did at the box office at White instead that kind of double down on what worked and did not force anything. They brought in the right gear to right the ship during production when things were not working, but ultimately stayed the course clearly. The paid off. Also note the Mission Impossible movie to his are not overly married to continue. That can be a killer in some cases. For as much as the Marvelous Cinematic Universe work, it is gonna be a lot of homework. Even the Daniel Craig Bond movies were a little too incorrect for their own good and times. Looking at Hugh Speckley with Ghost Protocol and audience member who had never seen of this movie could have easily understood. Also of note, the Mission Impossible movie to this day are not overly married to continue. That can be a killer in some cases. For as much as the Marvel Cinematic Universe work, it can be a lot of homework. Even the Daniel Craig Bond movie was a little too unconnected for their own good at the times. Look at you, Spectre, with Ghost Protocol and audience member who had never seen one of these movies could have easily understood what was going on and just go on the ride. Fortunately, even though Fallout had a lot to ties to previous movie, the franchise has kept that up. Lastly, to the idea recognize a good thing is a smart way to go. Pema recognized the M. Korea had a magic touch. Ultimately, he was brought on board to direct Road Nation and Float, both of which were gangster big hit. And he has also worked with Curious and Age of Tomatoes, Jack Reaches and the upcoming Top Gun Maverick. Plus, he has directed both Mission Impossible 7 and 8. It is one of the most reliable relationship in Hollywood, and it allegedly blossomed as a result of some uncredited reward. That a hell of a thing. Foreign box office Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol scales $69.5 million and no one overseas. Sherlock Holmes, a game of shared show, opens number 3 in 6 market, Alvin and the Shipwreck number 4 in 38. As the role of the three major studios, seasonable Trimpus compact offer for the Virgin theatrical criticized to some degree shock of his box office splash with Paramount Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol taking the number 1 weekend spot, gathering 69.5 million over 5 days from 6,069 38 locations in 42 offers market. The fourth installment of the 15-year high occasion action franchise starting Tom Cruise performed dominantly in Asia in the Middle East, sizing the number 1 spot in at least dozen markets including Japan $9 million in 3 days from 343 locations, and South Korea via CG Entertainment $11.1 million over 4 days from 948 benches. Related videos capitalize on its location shot in the Empire of Dubai, where Curious scales the Burj Khalifa, the World Tales building. Ghost Protocol established an opening record in the United Arab Interiors, crossing $2.4 million from 27 spots for an unheard of per location average or nearby $89,000. First place franchises were recognized in Australia, New Zealand, India to win Scamps, the biggest market opening of a Korea film, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and New Zealand. In Europe, Ghost Protocol was number 1 in Spain, $2.6 million from 545 spots. Belgium and Portugal, its number 2 franchise, both generated $5.5 million from 616 locations, while Russia kicked in $6.1 million from 618 cities. In all, Ghost Protocol generated 2011 10th largest number 1 wicket open at the last 10 franchise opening are on this the weekend, including Mexico and Brazil. Mission Impossible have proved to be far more popular efforts in the North America. Worldwide, the first 3 franchise titles have grossed $1.402 million to date, with $871.5 million coming from foreign playback and $513.4 million draw domestically. Foreign come off the 1996 series original directed Brain Deeplands. Mission Impossible come to $276.7 million, $181 million domestic dollar. John Woo's 2000 sequel, Mission Impossible 2, draw $331 million overseas, $215.4 million domestic. 2016 Mission Impossible 3, directed by J.J. Abrams, yielded $2,063.8 million, officially various $134 million in the USA and Canada. Number 2 on the weekend was DreamWorks animated Puss in Book, which earned $2.98 million for 7.100 weekends and 14 marks. Origin crumb of the 3D animated span of Shark stand at $188 million as per director permanent. A muscular number 2 opening in Italy registered $3.3 million from 385 location. Opening Oscar on a modified base in the UK, Italy, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, Sweden and Turkey. Warner Bros. Sherlock Holmes, a game of showdown registered $14.6 million from the 1610 situation. In rank third on the weekend, directed Guy Ritchie's sequel, Occasion Reboot by J.R. Jude Law. Directed Guy Ritchie's sequel, Crusting Reboot Downly J.R. and Joe Law premiered number in UK $5.6 million from 514 screens and also in the first place in Italy $4.8 million from 575 seats. The 2009 original Sherlock Holmes grossed $524.4 million worldwide with the $315.4 million of the total original from foreign play date. Game of Showdown opened this week in Germany and Korea. Number 4 was Alvina and the Chipwrecked with the third installment of 20th Century for $18,000 million plus computer animation franchise based on a TV cartoon series about studying Japan. Opening launch in 37 terrorist drew $30.7 million from 3,828 situation. A number 2 UK depth provide $3.67 million from 756 situations. Where its franchise production Alvin and the Chipcom the sequel premiere offers on 23 December 2009 playing 5,479 screen in 25 markets and grossing $37.1 million, beating the opening flag of the series original by more than 200%. Chipwrecked had a more limited foreign opening, said Vox. We are strategy last release that across the year and holidays, so comprised with Alvin 2 will not to appeal to Apple assets the distribute fairs sequel foreign launch including in Australia, Germany, France, Russia and Belgium. The chip work champion in kicking this market instantly. First two title in the Alvin series accumulate worldwide box office $8,003.3 million, of which $369.9 million come from overseas playdate and $433.4 million organizing in the USA and Canada. Sequel compound $226.1 million, foreign various $270.5 million domestic, while the 2007 franchise original Alvin and the Champion registered $143.8 million foreign, various $215.9 million domestic. Ranking number 5 was Sony author Jurist Mass Adram Animation 3D outing about Setpiece Stunts, which pushed its foreign gross total to $72.5 million thanks to a $9.3 million weekend at 6711 situation. Warner Bros. New Lines New Year's Eve generated $8.9 million from 3,200 screen in 42 terrorist. Foreign come for the romantic comedy starring Sarah Jessica. In French local language box office, Panomans Touchable remained number 1 for the 7th straight Sensa, grossing $6.7 million from 829 screens. Markham from the comedy sensation outcrying Franken's Skulls as a wealth credit boarding the Tales from box office. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol biggest stunts was its massive success. The Mission Impossible franchise, much like the name implies, has been a downright impossible and wild thing in the Hollywood lands. The movie have against all odds survived since 1996 when the original somewhat humble action flick, starring Tom Cruise and based on the TV show of the same name, was released. They have never been rebooted in 25 years, and there are two more movies on the way. With curious tales at the center of it all is, it could be argued that the franchise hit its apex when Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released back in December 2011. Even if it's not the best of the bunch, it is certainly the most important as the movie gets ready to celebrate its 90th anniversary this week. I decided to have a look back at how the fourth entry Mission Impossible movie came to be, how much it had to overcome to make it the franchise line, and how it is interior unique in the landscape of genetic hit blockbuster movie. The movie Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. J.J. Abrams made his feature directorial debut with Mission Impossible 3 back in 2007. The movie managed to reboot critical from Mission Impossible 2, which is still for my money only bad one of the bunch. But Abrams was busy with Super 8 and could not return to the director chairwoman once Paramount Pictures decided they want to proceed with a fourth entry. Even though M130 was not massive hit, it was a thundering in the eyes of critics and with curious on board. There was reason to think there was gas left in the tank. The studio then made the unique choice to turn to Burt Bright, known for his work on The Iron Giant and The Incredibles among other animated blockbusters. It would savor a Burt's first live-action features and one of only two he done to date. Organized the distributors Tomorrow Walnut, Josh Album and Andrew Nemick Alice penned the entire screenplay, though their draft would end up ending a lot of help interior Christopher M.C. Curious. MC Curia had been working primarily as a screenwriter in Hollywood and had worked with Curious on Valkyria, but it was this movie where their relationship would truly blossom, creating the most significant creative partnership in Curious' story's career. MC Curia was brought in to the handle and created rewriter on the complex story. Like the first podcast, MC Curia explained it thusly. On Ghost Protocol, I came in on the middle of the show to do a writer or the screenplay. Though they had already started the movie, I had to communicate with the interior staff to determine what I could and I could not change, what scenes had been built or stuck, what scenes I could or could not reshoot. I learned so much about production being right there. The script had these fantastic sequences in it, but there was a mystery in it that was very complicated. What I did was about clarity. The mysteria had to be made similar. It like reaching into a sock and pulling inside out. It's still a shock, still all the same pieces, but all put together in a different order. In the end, debates a long complex shoots, lots of uncreated retitle and some incredible dangerous stunts involving Curious hanging off of the tallest buildings in the world. The movie was in the can by December 2011 to be unleashed on eager audience all over the place. Paramount took an interesting approach to the movie release, as much of it was shot in IMAX 2 implies that Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released exclusively in IMAX theater on December 16 and managed to pull in $12.7 million in just 425 theaters on what was technically its opening weekend. Bus built and come December 23 when it went wide. Things went well. Ghost Protocol and Paramount took an interesting approach to the movie release, as much of it was shot in IMAX to implies that Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was released exclusively in IMAX theater on 16 December and managed to pull in $12.7 million in just 425 theaters on what was technically its opening weekend. Bus built and come 23 December what it went wide. Things went well. Ghost Protocol and $29.5 million domestically in first weekend of wide release, and things just kept rolling from there. It then dropped less than 1% the following week, taking in another $29.4, which sold holds during the rest of its run. The movie finished with $2,009.3 million domestically, and as luck would have it, international audience turned out in divorce as well to the trend of $485.3 million that brought its grand total to $694.7 million. Much of that was audited by premium format screen as the over-the-tape stunts and action demand to be seen on the biggest screen possible. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was the biggest movie of Curious' career of the point and remains the second highest grossing entry in the survival overall. 2018 Mission Impossible Fallout $787 million would eventually top, but Ghost Protocol paid the away more than authentic. It denied remarkable that the fourth movie in a franchise that was in 15 years old at the point show how managed to completely recognize it. Same leading man, some continue, but just the right combination of speech and timing. Once would be hard pressed to find another example of what happening in Hollywood history, but especially at this scale. One of the biggest lessons for me here is that Paramount made a reasonable bet here. Yes, big movie star and established franchise, especially a decade ago before streaming look haul, was a safe bet at the box office, but the studio did not let things get out of hand. This movie was made for $125 million, and yes, that is a big budget, but it's not overall inflated. It's actually $5 million less than the reported budget for Mission Impossible 3. Set yourself up to success. One of the biggest lessons for me here is the Paramount made a reasonable bet there. Yes, big movie star and established franchise, especially a decade ago before streaming look haul, was a safe bet at the box office. But the studio did not let things get out of hand. This movie was made for $145 million, and yes, that is a big budget, but it is not overall inflated. It's actually $5 million less than the reported budget for Mission Impossible 3. Set yourself up to success. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol 2011 Polio Free Review. Directed by Brad Bird, written by Josh Album, Andrew Nemick. Starting: Tom Cruise, Jerry Renner, Sima Pegg, Ving Rhames, Paula Patton, Josh Halvo, Michael Nyqvist, Wildemar Mashkov, Lee Sedux, Anil Kapoor. Runtime 132 minutes. This is not just another mission. The IMF is shut down when it's implemented its global terrorist bomb plot. Ghost Protocol is intact, and Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, and his strong crew team must go uncover to clear his organization name. No help, no contact off the grid. You have ever seen a mission greater and more instant than his? Brad Bird is the director, and Jerry Renner, William Brandt is one of the new additions to an already organized cast. I am resuming my review of the Mission Impossible franchise, antiseptic the release of Mission Impossible Fallout, which comes out a few days from now. My thoughts on Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 2 and Mission Impossible 3 are already written, and you can click on the title to read my review for those movies. After a massive decline in quality from M1.1 to M1.2, M1.3 picked up the saga again in Ghost Protocol, able to modernize or even improve the franchise's high stakes. This is the best film of the franchise, or at let's night up there with the original. There are so many great things to written about this movie that I am going to start with couple of issues since honestly. There are not that big of a deal, and I want to end my review with positive things to terminate. So the villain Michael Nyqvist portrays Kurta Hardrate, and he is the worst antagonist of the whole saga. The actor is great, no problem there. The big issue is the depthless characters in the Mission Impossible series. He bravely has screening time. No, naturally his motivations are null and there is really nothing to him. He just wants to blow things up and start a war or something. This is the best film of the franchise, or at least right up there with the original. There are so many great things to write about this movie that I am going to start with my couple of issues since honestly they are not that big of a deal and I want to end my review with positive things to restart. So the villain Michael Nakvi protocols Kurthardix and he is the worst antagonist of the whole saga. The actor is great, no problem there. The big issue is the Kurta is the depthless characters in Mission Impossible series. He bravely has screen timing. So naturally his motivations are null and there is really nothing to him. He just wants to blow things up and start a war or something. My only other issue has to do with the action, no, not with action itself, by how it progressed along the runtime. The standout scenes are undoubtedly the stops in Dubai and the Burj Khalifa building. Their moments are midway through the film, so the action of the third act, the one that usually should have low mids and have all of the tension and airline, feels like a level below. However, and this is extremely important for you understand, remark when I wrote the 1.13 had the best action in the interior saga, well Ghost Protocol just suspect it and in such a phenomenal way. What I wrote in the last paragraph is correct reading. The quality of the action declined towards the end. But bear in mind that I am writing about some of the best action stunts in movie history. The third act's action make tons of other films jealous. I don't have any doubts about that. Still, the pig and other light runs arrive at the 1 hour mark. Everything, literally every single scene in Dubai. Everything, literally every single scene in Dubai. Not only the franchise Burj Khalifa stunts are gold, pure gold. This movie was released in 2011 and the real action display in its anti-belief. I mean, if I was seeing this year, 7 years ago, the first thing I would do once I got home was to Google which stunts were real or not. Believe or not, a lot of them are, especially ones you think are not. Brad Pitt, a great filmography considering animated film, but this was his first live-action one. He is the super cinematography is jaw-dropping beautiful. Every shoot is dripping with visual quality, and the score is driving. However, the shine brightly when it comes to the screenplay. With the help of his writer, he is able to write a simple yet exemplary plot filled with painful moments and high level of execute. The characters have never been better written and the cast never had such great performance. Germany Renner is terrified as brand as his backstory proved a compliment and screenlight to Hunt, which plays a very significant plot twist. Paula Patton is charming as Jana Center and once again his character is given an emotional motivation to execute the IMF's mission, which makes me care about her. Simok Pegg is Hammers as Benji, who receive a much more points role to play in the movie. He Xiaohou replaced Wing reminds as the character who brings the bites of comedy and banter, which are always a breath of release in such a fast-paced film. Finally, Tom Cruise is incredible as Ethan. Brad Pitt has a great filmography considering animated film, but this was his first live-action one. He is super. The cinematography is jaw-dropping beautiful. Every shoot is dripping with visual quality, and the score is relative. However, the sun shines brightly when it comes to the screenplay. With the help of his character, he is able to write a simple yet exciting plot filled with suspenseful moments and high level of excitement. The characters have never been better written, and the cast have never as such great performance. Jeremy Renner is terrific as a brand, and his backstory provides a compelling and a secret line to Hunt, which plays a very significant plot twist later on. Paula Patton is charming as a Jenna Center and once again his character is given an emotional motivation to accomplish the IMFX mission, which makes me care about her. Simone Pegg is humorous as a Banshee who receive a much more prominent role to play in this movie. He show how replays Fink reminds as the character who brought the bites of comedy and banter which are always a breath of relief in such a fast-paced film. Finally, Tom Cruise in Incredited as Ethan. I mean, he turns to a whole other level. When you have an actor who does all his stunts, that's great. But when you have an actor who does all his stunts, being one of those stunts climbing to the side of highest building on the plane, they're just ridiculously outstanding. I am in a humble opening. I think Curious is the best action movie star of all time. I mean, how can someone deny this community and coverage? Before I finish, I will address the pacing I did not bother me. Even though I did not bother me, a lot of people complained about the non-stop action of I M13 and I understand their point. However, the balance in M1 point is for perfect. There is always some sort of transition to the next action sequence. Either the team is discussing the plan, or some characters is getting time to be developed or something in between. There is never a dull moment but the franchise pressing the better control. All in all, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is right up there up the original when it's come to the best film of the franchise. The action is mind-blowing and the best in the saga. The characters have never been better fleshed out. The cast is fantastic, especially Tom Cruise naturally, and the packing is fast but controlled but practice the hell out of the movie with beautiful wide shots and especially cinematography and exciting yet simple plot is only injured by the Rose William on the series and some unit picky things from my part. Reading the third act action would be crazy enough to accept this mission. Instead, on doing these stunts himself, save what the character's Ethan Hunt is seeing like a human fly climbing to glass, thoughts of feet in the air, and you are telling me we are not looking at GGI. If that's really Tom Cruise, he seems like a suitable case for treatment. If it is or it is not, this movie Burj Khalifa action sequence is often the most supplement stretches of film I have seen. In the way it set up photography and edit it provide me and my Vatia with scary fascine. The movie has other complete set piece as well. It opens with Ethan Hunt's breakout from a Russian Persian. There is a starting fight scene inside a space age parking area where moving steel platform rise and lower cars and the fights jump from one level to another. There's clever scene in the Valet of the Kremlin, a chief in which a virtual reality illusion is used to fool a guard, and a scene at a fancy Mumbai part in which India star Anil Kapoor thinks he seducing M1 team member Jan Paula Patton in an elaborately choreography university technique. Ethan and Jenna are joined by mission mates Brand, Jamie Renner and Benji Singham Peg in an attempt to fool a maiden named Handy Cakers, who has gained control of a satellite and position of Russian unclear codes and want to start a unclear war. His reason, as so much I understand it, is that life on Earth needs to be annihilated once in a. Ethan and Jenna are joined by mission mates Brand and Benji in an attempt to fool a madman named Handy Riggs, who has gained control of satellite and possession of Russian unclear codes and wants to start unclear war. His reason, as much as I understand it, is that life on Earth need to be annihilated once in a while so it can get a French star, and Hendrik is impatient writing for a big stunt to come along in his lifetime. The movie benefits greatly from the well-defined performance of the mission team. Curious hunting from the death of his wife, remember her in the third M1 picture, plays a likable man of shell, voice say infinite coverage, Simon Pegg, with his off face and pantal, he's funny as Benji the computer John. One of those guys who can walk into the Burj Khalifa with a laptop and instantly grab control of its elevator and secretly cameras. Paula Patton is an applying Jenna combine sweet accents with the vicious head-to-head fight technique and journey runners. Brand editing the plot as an analyze for the IMFT secretary is believed to have a great many extra analytic skill. Brand and Benji have a scene that is a new level of action. Goofy nice even for a Mission Impossible movie. Brand's mission and Ethan makes it clear he has to accept it is to wear steel mesh underwear and jump into a ventilating staff with wicked stepping fan plants at the bottom. Benji will had his fall with a little mobile managed at the bottom of the staff so Brand can break into the massive computers. Renner does an especially nice job of seeming very secret when he does this. The movie has an unexpected director, Brad Bird, the marker of the great animated film as the Iron Gant, the incredible and brutally well, why not? Animation surprise in action and his films are known for strong. The movie has an unexpected director, Brad Bird, the marker of such great animated film as The Iron Giant, The Incredible and Rootling. Well, why not? Animation supplies in action and his film are now for strong characters. You did not think he been thrilling for years. Now I want to get back to Tom Cruise. Woo Woo lived climbing to the side of the Burj Khalifa, already doing his own stunts. I'm not saying he did not. No doubt various unseen nets and weights were also used and at least some GGL. Whatever, I remember a story client Eastwood told me years ago after they made Eager Ascension 1975. The movie has unexpected director Brad Bird, the mark of the such great animated film. The Iron Giant, the incredible and rotating. Well, why not? Animation supplies in action and his films are known for strong. You did think he had been doing wrestling for years. Now I want to get back to Tom Cruise who left climbing to the side of the Burj Khalifa, already doing his own stunts. I'm not saying he did not, no doubt various unseen nets and rides were also used and at least some CGI whatever. I remember a story Client Eastwood told me years ago after the Meet Eager Section 1975. There's a scene in the movie where Client's character's dangles is mid-air at the end of a cable hanging from a mountain he thousands of feet up. Client also directed the scene himself. I did not want to use a stuntman, he said, because I want to use a teleport lens and zoom in slowly. I did not want to use a stuntman, he said, because I wanted to use a telephoto lens and zoom in slowly all the way to my face. So you could see it was really me. I put on a little disguise and slipped into a sneak preview of the film to see how people liked it. When I was hanging up there in the air, the woman in front of me said to her friend, "Gee, I wonder how they did that." And her friend said, "Specially efforts." Not, I should add that I saw the film in the IMAX format. Whoa, the skyscape scene had incredible impact. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol Review. I will admit it, there was a ultra movie to why I decided to cast Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol early in IMAX last night before it rolls out to regular theaters next week. While I am a fan of the series, the enemy's white trailer did not exactly blow me away or anything. Plus, I had already watched and enjoyed the Sherlock Holmes sequel and Young Adult earlier yesterday, so at the point I might have been more excited to catch the XLV prograph of The Dark Knight Rise. Yeah, that was pretty cool, but if the actual movie I had just dropped a painful $39 for number Wonder Stan franchise is about to become the first USA city to top a $10 minimum bag. had not been so great, I would be spent most of those 2 hours still trying to guess what the hell Ben MC Mumbles was saying instead of pressing back against my seat and agape as Tom Cruise did his crazy non sanitography things. His next installment in the spy movie advertisement Mission Impossible Ghost. Yeah, that was pretty cool, but if the actual movie I had just dropped a painful $39 for No Wonder San franchise is about to become the first US city to top a $10 minimum wage. Had not been so great, I would not have spent most of those 2 hours still trying to guess what the hell Ben MC Mobilize was saying instead of pricing back against my seat and gaps as Tom Cruise did his crazy known Scientologic things. His next installment in the spy movie advertisement Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is a special beyond in IMAX. Nearly a quarter of the movie was filmed in the gain screen format, and demon it looks good, and diamond it looks good. A big reason is that Ghost Protocol is more bond the bond option for toxics in its terms of local cars and gadgets. The collection of sequences in Dubai is one of the most thrilling one is theater this year. And I am not just talking about the breathing shoots from the words, tall skyscrapers of the high-flying stunts that keep your various body parts climbed. The interior middle act is. His next installment is the spy movie advertisement Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is a spectacular to beyond in IMAX. Nearly a quarter of the movie was filmed in the Kent screen format and diamonds look good. A big reason is that Ghost Protocol is more bond than Buron opting for the ecstatic stream of locals, cars and gadgets. The collection of sequences in Dubai is one of the most thrilling ones in theaters this year. And I'm not just talking about the breathing shots from the world's tall skyscrapers on the high-flying stunt that will keep your various body parts clean. The interior middle act is cinematic heaven. Given credit to Oscar-winning director Brad Bird, who's making his live-action debut after an already illustrated character in animation, the incredible reaction he managed to make an impressive movie out of a plot of recycling parts when you could easily swipe these dozens of other movie and fights game. I thought he evil master plan in a game of shadow was generated, but Ghost Protocol was as. Give credit to Oscar-winning director Brad Bird, who's making his live-action debut after an already illustrated career in animation. The Incredibles relight he's managed to make as impressive movie out of a plot of recycling parts. When you could easily swipe these tons of other movie and white games. I thought the evil master plan in a game of shadow was generic, but Ghost Protocol was as childish as this come. Like the new Sherlock Holmes, there's a dragon tattoo album, Michael, and he can't measure up to the previous film villain and he can't measure up to the previous film villain either. Remember now how humanity instead film I always will, but that is this mission and complication than I all made the Sherlock sequel. Like the new Sherlock Holmes, there is a dragon tattoo album, Michael Nyqvist, and he can't measure up to the previous film villain either. Remember how humanity instant film sample how human was in the third one. I always will, but for this mission a compliment that's I lamented the Sherlock sequel does not is Ghost Protocol stand alone starts, and with Oscar nominees Germany Renner add to the mix too, potentially in her the lead if and when Curious calls it quiet. The future of this franchise is bright. Was is not always bright is the humor. The film cracks way too many jokes, countries of Sigum Pig usually, and all thought over half of them many get a chuckle out of you. It's kinda distracting what this gets smart. You know what else is distracting? Ghost Protocol is literally iPhone with product plan made. BMW just is MAC book for the holidays, iPad It's not as shameless as Transform on an Adam Sandler movie, but it's close. That high-bird concept car is pretty sweet. What is not always bright is the humor. The film cracks way too many jokes, counts of human pig usually, and all thought over half of them many get a chuckle out of you. It's kinda distracting. What is this? Get smart, you know what else is distracting? Ghost Protocol is littered iPhone with podcast placement, BMW just in time, MC book for the holidays iPad. It's not as shameless as Transform or an Adam Sandler movie, but it's close. That hybrid concept car is pretty sweet through. The trailers gives away too much in my opinion, but there's no question you should choose to accept their mission. Are gravely the best of the franchise. I am still debating this instantly because Ghost Protocol was not anywhere near as emotional impact as JJ Abrams Mission Impossible 3, but Ghost Protocol may be the most fun you will have at the movie this holiday season. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol gets 4.0 out of 5 star or B positive or great. Mission Impossible review. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol review. With good measures the best of the series. For one, I am gladly impressed with a Mission Impossible film, for after having been left bitterly disappointed by Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol not only is a huge step by from its precedent, but it's also the first. For once, I am gladly impressed with a Mission Impossible film, for after having been left bitterly disappointed by Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol not only is a huge step up from its precedent, but it's also the first that I would gladly be able to truly call a good film. Given what pointed the film had, it's finally rather nice to see that by the time Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol had come along the series and realized what it was capable of and used that to the very best of its own ability. The curious scaling the Burj Khalifa in Mission Impossible, where previous directors comes to conforming to the tropes that define aspiring film. Brad coming fresh of directing animated features takes the series to its very highest, for under his own mission he is able to present a sense of energy which should have been much more prevalent in the previous film, together with a sense of humor to bind its all together, thus creating an overall entertaining ride for being to end. It seemed as if for his own live-action debut, Brad Pitt indeed had intended to create sometimes that would stand apart from the previous film by avoiding conformity, and thus he created the best Mission Impossible film yet. A case for the previous film is that Ethan Hunt seems as if he the only characters whose motivations are fully realized, but here where I feel he gives all that he could never possibly have received in from the previous interiors. While we understand Ethan thoroughly, the series, at least for one, stopping characters also have much more characters to them, and we also are brought much closer to their motivation. Thus we have a case from the previous film is that Ethan Hart seems as he is the only characters whose motivations are fully realized, but here way I feel he gives all that could never possible have received even from the previous entries. While we understand Ethan through the series, at least for one, surprising characters also have much more characterization to them, and we also are brought much closer to their motivation. Thus we have what truly is a high point for the series. Convolti aside the fact we are brought closer as viewers to understanding what are the goals of these people who have watching on the screen is truly sometimes I was waiting for from the Mission Impossible series as a whole, as it's simply the most engaged of the bunch. From Brad Pitt composition of set pieces, there a scene of danger present on every front, and that's what help in admitting Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is order to become what truly is that very. From Brad composition of set pieces, there are scenes of danger present on every front, and that's what help in admitting Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol in order to become what truly is the very best of the Mission Impossible film. For one, its Mission Impossible film does not suffer the predictable that the presenting their film have gone through, at least given how the written is notable, strong especially when you look at the what had been providing period. No matter where you look, the tension that had been poured upon these characters for one can be felt perfectly, which only adapt up more to putting a smile on my face. Just watching how Bert composed their sequence, especially the notable scene in which Ethan Hunt is scaling the Burj Khalifa tower, it's pleasing just looking at how Bert chooses to move along with his efforts in spite of all this good. A big problem that had been faced through most of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is how underdeveloped the villain was. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, in spite of all this good, a big problem that had been faced through most of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is how underdeveloped the villain was, at least in Mission Impossible 3. We are brought closer to Owen Devon thanks to the powerful opening sequence which shows him interrogating Ethan Hunt. Not so much about Kurt Hendricks is as established as it should have been, seeming as he lacked enough time on the screen for us to understand him, at least up until the climax fight sequence. It's a disappointment at least from such a great entry for the series, but the good lot of its make up for this. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is a scene of tension and excitement that I was waiting for from this series. For a live action directly debut from Brand, for a live action direction debut from Brand Birds, it's rather plain just to see that he clearly wants to make a film that stands apart from all other in the franchise. For that he successfully achieved. While stormings come again from the some whatever convicted storyline, at least Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is the scene of tension and excitement that I was waiting for from this series. For a live action direction debut from Bart Brad, it's rather pleasing just to see that he clearly wants to make a film that stands apart from all other in the franchise. For that he successfully achieved. While shortcomings come again from the somewhat ever converted storyline, at this but Brad work around such flaws in order to avoid alienating his audience through his use of set pieces together, which how he flashes out the motifs of his characters. This truly is the Mission Impossible film that should have been around the entry time. Directed by Brad Bird, screenplay by Josh Album, Andrew Nemick from the television series by Brucey Geller, produced by Gursia J.J. Abram, Brian Berg, starting Tom Cruise, Jerry Renner, Simone Pegg, Paula Patton, release year 2011, running time 133 minutes. Christopher M. Curious detailed his review on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Christopher M. Curious is a gift to cinephiles not just because the writer-director keep making incredible action movie and leading his voice as a top industry screenplay doctor, but because he is so open and communicative about the whole experience. Few filmmakers engage with fan questions more actively and thoughtfully that MC Kuria does on social media. Record multiply. Thoughtfully that MC Kuria does on social media record multiply commercials of their Blu-ray release and willing jump on podcast for hours and hours to break down their craft. Whatever the medium, the Mission Impossible, Rejuvenation and Play Out director always discuss the nuts and bolts of making a movie with a clear and simple attention to details that makes you go, oh, so that's how they pulled that off. If there one topic MCQ tends to keep numb about, it's his rewrite work, but fortunately frequency collaborate. Tom Cruise has been less directed, opening the door for MC Courier to talk about what he contribute to Brand Bird, Mission Impossible Ghost Nation before. If there are one topic MC Courier tend to keep numb about is his rewrite a work, but fortunately frequents collaborate. Tom Cruise has been less direct, opening the door for MC Korea to talk about what he contributed to Brand Pitt Mission Impossible Ghost Nation before talking over the director on the Substance film. MC Courier dropped by Light the Force podcast last week and broke down in detail what he changed in the script for the fourth Mission Impossible film. According to MC Courier, the biggest change had to do what the film was keeping secret and what it gave away from up. It particularly the details of what happened to Michael, monographs Julia and how it tied into the backstory for Jamie Renner's agent Brand, MC Kuria explained. When I read the script, the big things were you did not know what was in the suitcase, you did not know what was in the envelope, you did not know what the villain was doing. This was all mysteria in this movie, and Michael Monaghan was dead. Julia Characters was really dead. I came on board and I said, look, there are two things going on. One emotionally, if Julia dead. When I read the script, that the big things were you did not what was in this suitcase. You did not know what was in the envelope. You did not know what this villain was doing. This was all a master in the movie, and Michael Monaghan was dead. Julia Characters was really dead. I came on board and I said, look, there are two things going on. Once emotionally, if Julia dead, no matter how this story turns out, I am said a hunter means you are not at nightly because no matter how well Ethan wins, he crank his failure that you have allowed it to interior movie. You have got to let audience off the hook. Tonelli is Bud Brad's Mission Impossible. The other things that was going on was that allowed to the interior movie. You have got to let the audience off the hook. Totally in Bud Brad Mission Impossible. The other things that was going on was that Jamie Renner's had a different backstory. His character of Brand, he was still the agent that was now an analyst. But the reason that he could not go back into the field was that he had hesitated and his hesitation had led to the death of two nameless agents. And this event, I think they refer to it as White River. It became the core for this unheard scare in his past. I said first of all let's try to imagine a Tom Cruise story with Jamie's story so that Jamie's story is actually relevant to the movie. Right now it feels like there are not movie happening. And again, no matter how you resolve Jamie's story, even at 100 you were at 90 because he still hesitated and these two guys were still dead. Where sees if instead the story to say that Jamie feels responsible for the death of Julia and the end of the story we find out Julia not dead and Jamie find out the Julia not dead. You get to use that emotional engineering, but then you get to let the audience off the hook at the end of it. You will notice you don't really hear it discussed that Julia dead until Jamie. That Julia dead until Jamie Renner tells the story. The notion of that in the movie does not come up until you are 70 minutes in as open to write up the being of the story. So every time I look at Ethan I am think, poor guy his wife died. Because Lee MC Courier decide that they should integrate Brands and Ethan's story and film the master of the script by making Julia's story a master. Basically, MC Courier decide that should integrate Brands and Ethan's story and flip the mastery of the script by making Julia's story a mystery instead the plot-driven elements, MC Courier explained. When I read the script, the big things were you did not know what was in the case, you did not know what was in the envelope, you did not know what the villain was doing. This was all a mystery in the movie, and Michael Monaghan was dead. Julia Characters was really dead. I came on board and I said, look, there are two things going on. One emotional if you Julia dead. When I read the script, the big things were you did not know what was in the suitcase, you did not know what was in the envelope, you did not know what the villain was doing. This was all a mystery in the movie, and Michael's monograph was that Julia character was really dead. I came on board and I said, look, there are two things going on. One, emotionally, I have Julia dead no matter how the story turns out. I'm sad. 100 means you are at 90 because no matter how well Ethan wins, he crying this failure that you have allowed it to the interior movie. You have got to let the audience of the hook tonally in Brightbird, Mission Impossible, the other allowed it to the interior movie. You have got to let the audience of the hook tonally in Brightbird's Mission Impossible. The other things that was going on was that Germany runners had a different backstory. His character of Brand, he was still the agent that was now an analyst, but the reason that he could not go back into the field was that he had led to the death of two Nemesis agents, and is this event I think the reference to is a white river. It became the core for his unheld scare in his past. I said first of all, let's try to integrate Tom Cruise with Jerry's story so that Jeremy's story is actually relevant to the movie right now. It feels like there are two movies happening, and agent, no matter how you resolve Jeremy's story, even at 100 you were at 90 because he still hesitated and these two guys were still dead. Whereas if integrated the story to say that Gemini feels responsible for the death of Julia, and at the end of the story we found out Julia not dead and Jamie find out that Julia not dead. You get to use the emotional engineering, but then you get to let the audience off the hook at the end of it. You will notice you did not really hear it discussed that Julia did. Germany runners tells the story. The nations of death in the movie does not come up until you are severely. The nation of death in the movie does not come up until you are 70 minutes in, as obsessed to write up at the beginning of the story. So every time I look at Ethan, I think, poor guy, his wife died. Basically, MCQ decided that they should integrate Brand and Ethan's story and fill the mystery of the script by making Julia's story a mystery. Basically, MCQ decided that they should integrate Brand's and Ethan's story and flip the master of the script by making Julia's story a mystery instead of the plot-driven elements. MCQ explained. That was my note to the studio. Take everything that no and hide it that and everything that hidden and reveal it. Respectfully, I'm not a mystery box guy. I don't believe in that kind of storytelling. I feel that they leads to. I understand that it makes for every complete narrative drive, but it brings you to the end of the movie and it's inspired the three great words of cinema, which are and so okay. And if you that was my note to the studio. Take everything that know and hide it, and take everything that's hidden and reveal it. Respectfully, I'm not a mystery box guy. I don't believe in that kind of storytelling. I feel that leads to. I understand that it's make for very compelling narrative drive, but it's bring you to the end of the movie and it's inspired the three great words of cinema, which are and so okay. And if you hear and one of those three things, it's time to go back to the driving board. I believe that a mystery is only as good as its relief. I believe that a mystery is only as good as its reveal. MC Curia also said he was tasked with writing the scene inside the two. MC Curia also said he was tasked with writing the scenes inside the two rooms at the Burj Khalifa in order to tie the extra action which has mostly already shot into the season. MC Curry details how he refined the moment to moment of the scene with Bert on set. According for the details of this trailer, as you feel between the two rooms, he also reveals some of the reshoots including the moment where we learn why Ethan was sent to version which was added later to help tie up the lines between Julia and Brand's backstory. And in case you were wondering, MC Kuria also cleared up why Demon Landifalf was brought on for yet another script cleaned by the studio want a different ending. MC Kuria. And in case you were wondering, MC Kuria also cleaned up why Demon Landwolf was brought on for yet another script clean-up. The studio wanted a different ending, MC Kuria said. Demon Landwolf came in because there was another ending to the screenplay that the studio wanted that no longer fit on the movie. It was more to their liking, but the script that I had written took the movie in a direction that did not allow that. The studio wanted their ending and they were doing everything they could to somehow make that work, but by the time they were there, they had already shot the things that were directing. The studio wanted their ending and they were doing everything they could not to show make that work, but by the time they were there, they had already shot the things that were distracting the movie where it went not where they wanted it go. Diamond was brought in much to his credit to instantly take the square peg of Ghost Protocol and drive the interior things through a round hold of what the studio wanted the ending of the movie to be various what Mission wanted is to be, and Mission has a mind of its own. As for his ending, MC Curia said this, he wrote a more ambitious various of. As for his ending, MC Curia said that he wrote a more ambitious version of the final sequence in San Francisco where Ethan reveals Julia is still alive. According to the filmmaker, the sequence had Ethan talking to his team and instantly talking the story of what happened between him and Julia aka what we would eventually see in Flow Out. And despite what you might think, he was not the only one who added the syndicate tag to do the end of Ghost Protocol, the what as planned, but there is a lot more gold on how Ghost Protocols was made and how the last few films in the Mission Impossible franchise have been slapped, so you and should listen to the whole interview over at Light the Face. There is a lot more gold on how Ghost Protocol was made and how the last few films in the Mission Impossible franchise have been sapped, so you should listen to the full interview at the Light the Fuse. Original Mission Impossible 4 ending saw Tom Cruise retire. The original ending for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol saw Tom Cruise Ethan Hunt become the new secret lead of the IMF and pass the torch to different franchise lead released in 2011. The original ending for Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol saw Tom Cruise Ethan Hunt become the new secret lead of the IMF and pass the torch and a different franchise lead released in 2011. The fourth installment of the popular action series introduced audience to Jeremy Renner's film brand. At the time, Renner was a rising star, coming off consecutive Oscar nomination and lining up proto-line franchise back hours. His joking Mission Impossible was interrupted by many as a way for Paramount to transition from Curious to a new headliner that could carry the movie moving from forward. Obviously, things did not turn out that what Ghost Protocol ended up. Obviously, things did not turn out that way. Ghost Protocol ended up becoming Curious' biggest global hit at the box office, and Refund marked the Vental still had what it took to lead an action film. Curious continued to be the star of Mission Impossible, wowing viewers with his death defying stunts in Rejuvenation and Fallout. Runners meanwhile did not appear at all in last summer entry feature, illustrating how distractingly the direction of the franchise changed over the years. But at one point, Ghost Protocol was going to be the end of the line of Curious related movie franchise that got better in 2018. Appearing on the Light the Force podcast, Head Deep Calling, Ghost Protocol Cinematography. Robert Alves relieved some juicy details about the film's original ending. During development, Christography MC Curia handled script review that restored the film so Ethan Hunt remained the main attraction for the future installment. In Italy, however, Ethan was going to move to a new role in his beloved agency. The original version of Ghost Protocol, most of the people involved probably did not speak about this, but I can. The original version of Ghost Protocol, most of the people involved probably would not speak about this, but I can because no gives as about what I say. Their original version of this movie was at the end of its Tom Cruise, Tom being Ethan Hunt the agent and become Ethan Hunt the secretary. The whole version of this was they were gonna put another IMF mission until together with another actor. Maybe it's Jamie Renner's. Who knows who is it, and they are gonna go through his series of wild events, and at the end Tom gets to be the secretly and a new agent takes over the franchise. While I think seemed kind of nuts, but that was kind of the marching orders. When Ghost Protocols came out, Curious was not exactly the box office draw he was during his heyday. Mission Impossible 3 was the franchise lowest crossing interior, and the other Curious vehicles like Valkyrie and Kanglers, and they failed to leave much of an impression. With that in mind, it's understand why Paramount would give marching order to have Ghost Protocol be Ethan Hunt's final moment in the spotlight. The film would have instantly been a soft reboot, accumulate fans with the new lead as they did farewell to Curious. Granted, Curia likely would have remained involved in some crafty but just as subliminal characters. The studio deserves credit for willingly outright their plan to go with MC Curia revision, which they might have deemed risky, but now it's safe to say that was the right movie, as Mission Impossible remains stronger than ever more than 20 years after Curious first play hunts. Curious is so synonymous with Mission Impossible that it's highly unlike the franchise will ever move away from the him the starred. Simon Pegg believes Ethan Hunt should never be rested a James Bond, so upcoming Twins Mission Impossible sequel may be the end of the line, not just for Curious who will be 60 by time by the Ethan film comes out, but the series as a whole. Yes, there could not be some passing of the torch sent right in order to keep one of Paramount few cash cow alive, but that comes with danger of its own. It might be for the best if Mission Impossible started and ends with Curious instead of asking someone to fill his formidable shoes. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol 2011 spoiler-free review. Editor note: this is an old, unformatted, unedited review. The author opening might not match the original thoughts written in this article. Written by Josh Alban and Nemick. Starting Tom Cruise, Jerry Renner, Simon Pegg, Van Grimes, Paolo Patton, Josh Alban, Michael Nyqvist, Vladimir Meshkov, Lee Sedux, Anil Kapoor. Runtime 132 min. This is not just another mission. This is not just another mission. The IMF is the shutdown when it's implicated in a global terrorist bombing plot. Ghost Protocol is initiated, and Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, and his reunion team must do undercover to clear his organization name. No help, no contact of the cried. You have never seen a mission cried and more instant than his. Brand Bird is the director, and Jerry Renner. William Brandt is one of the new addition to an already organized cast. I am resuming my review of Mission Impossible franchise, anticipating the release of Mission Impossible Fallout, which comes out a few days from now. My thoughts on Mission Impossible 2, and Mission Impossible 3 are already written, and you can click on the titles to read my review for those movies. Impossible 2 and Mission Impossible 3 are already written, and click on the titles to read my review for those movies. After a massive decline in quality from M1 to M2, M3 picked up the saga again in Ghost Protocol, able to maintain or even improve the franchise's high stakes. This is the best film of the franchise, or at least right up there the original. There are so many great things to write about this movie that I am going to start with couple of issues since honestly they are not that big of a deal, and I want to end my review with positive things to transmit. So the villain Michael Nakvis portrays Scott Henrik, and he is the roast antagonist of the whole saga. The actor is the great, no problem there. The big issue is that Kurta is the depthless character in Mission Impossible series. He briefly has screen time. This is the best film or franchise, or at least right up there with the original. There are so many great things to write about this movie that I am going to start with my couple of issues since honestly they are not that big of a deal, and I want to end my review with positive things to terminate. So the villain Michael Nakvis Hendrik, and he is the road antagonist of whole saga. The actor is great, no problem there. The big issue is the court is the depthless character in Mission Impossible series. He barely has screen time, so naturally his motivations are null, and there is really nothing to him. He just wants to blow things up and start a war. This is the best film of the franchise, or at least right up there with the original. There are so many great things to write about this movie that I am going to start with my couple of issues since honestly they are not that big of a deal, and I want to end my review with positive things to treatment. So the villain Michael Nakvis portrays Scott Henrik, and he is the roast antagonist of the whole saga. The actor is great, no problem there. The big issue is that Scott is the depthless character in the Mission Impossible series. He bravely has screen time, so naturally his motivations are null, and there is really nothing to him. He just wants to blow things and up, start a war or something. My only other issue has to do with the action. No, not with the action itself, but how it progressed along the runtime. The standout scenes are undoubtful. These tools in Dubai and in the Burj Khalifa building. These moments are midway through the film. So the action of the third act, the one that usually should blow or mints and have all of the tension and underline, feels like a level below. However, and this is the extremely important for you to understand, remember when I wrote then M113 and the best action in the interior saga. Well, Ghost Protocol just priced is in such a phenomenal way. What I wrote in the last paragraph is correct reading the quality of the action. But bear in mind that I am reading about some of the best action stunts in movie history. The third act action makes tons of other films jealous. I don't have any doubts about that. Still, a big underlined rush arrives at the 1 hour mark. Everything, literally every single scene in Dubai. Not only the fantastic Burj Khalifa stunts are gold, pure gold. This movie has released in 2011, and the real action display in it is the unbelievable. I mean, if I was seeing this 7 years ago, the first thing I would do once I got home was to Google which stunts were real or not. Believe or not, a lot of them are, especially the ones you think are not. Brad Pitt has a great filmography considering animated film, but this was his honest first action one. He is superb, the cinematography is jaw-dropping, beautiful, every shoot is dripping with visual quality, and the story is relevating. However, he shines brightly when it comes to the screenplay. With the help of his writers, he is able to write a simply yet exacting plot, filled with suspenseful moments and high level of excitement. The characters have never been better written, and the cast has never had such great performance. Jerry Renner is terrific as Bratted and his backstory provides as a compelling and secret link to Hunt, which plays a very significant plot twist later on. Paul Patton is charming as Jenna Canal, and once again this character is giving an emotional motivations to accomplish the IMFS mission, which makes me care about her. Simon Pegg is humorous as Benji, prominent role to play in the movie. He show replays Fing remains as the character who brings the bites of comedy and better, which are always breath of relief in such a fast-paced film. Finally, Tom Cruise is incredible as Ethan. I mean, he translates to a whole other level. Finally, Tom Cruise in incredible as Ethan. I mean, he translates to a whole other level when you have an actor who does all his stunts. That great. But when you have an actor who does all his stunts, being one of these stunts climbing to the side of the height building on the plant, that's just ridiculously outstanding in my humble opinion. I think Curious is the best action movie star of our time. I mean, how can someone deny his community and coverage? Before I finish, I will address the passing. Even though I did not bother me, a lot of people complained about the non-stop action of 1M3, and I understand their point. However, the blame in 1-4 is the perfect. There is always some sort of transition to the next action sequence. Either the team is discussing the plan or some characters is getting time to be developed or something in between. There is never a dull moment, but the frontier passing is better controlled. All in all, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is right up there with the original. When it's come to the best film of the franchise, the action is mind-blowing and the best in the saga. The characters have never been better fleshed out. The cast is fantastic, especially Tom Cruise naturally, and the passing is the fast but controlled. Brad Pitt dragged the hell out of the movie with beautiful white shorts and expression. An exciting yet simple plot is only injured by the rose villain of the series and by come net. Big thing from my part reading the third act action would be crazy enough to accept this mission. Inside on doing these stunts himself safeward, the character's Ethan Hunt is seen like a human fly climbing to glass a thousand of feet in the air. And you are telling me we are not looking at CGI? If that's really Tom Cruise, he seems like a suitable case for treatment. If is not or is not this movie Burj Khalifa action sequence is one of the most subliminal stretches of the film I have seen. In the way is not set up photography and edit it provide me and my majority with scary fiction. The movie has other accompaniment set pieces as well. It opens with Ethan Hunt's breakout from a Russian Persian. There is a staggering fight scene inside a Peace Age parking garage where moving steel platform rise and lovers' cars and the fighters jump from one level to another. There is a clever scene in the values of Carmelina Archive in which a virtual reality illusion is used to fool a guard, and a scene at a fancy Mumbai party in which India star Anil Kapoor thinks he is studying M1 team member Jenna Paul Patton, M1 team member Jenna Paul Patton in an elementary choreograph. Ethan and Jenna are joined by mission mates brand Jamie Runners and Benji Simon Pegg in an attempt to fool a man named Hernick Michael Nyquist, who has gained control of fast-telling a position of Russian unclear codes and wants to start a unclear war. His reason, as much as I understand it, is that life on Earth needs to be unlimited once in a. Ethan and Jenna are joined by mission mates brand Jamie Renner and Benji Simon Pegg in an attempt to fool a man named Hendrik Michael Nyquist, who has gained control of satellite and a position of Russian unclear codes and wants to start unclear war. His reason, as much I as understand, is that life on Earth needs to be inherited once in a while so it can get a fresh start. And Hendrik is impatient waiting for a big antagonist to come along in his lifetime. The movie benefits greatly from the well-defined performance of the mission team. Curious hunting from the death of his wife, remember her in the third and one picture, plays a likable man of shall we say infinite coverage. Simon Pegg with his oval face and petulance is funny as Benji the computer genius, one of those guys who can walk into the Burj Khalifa with a laptop and instantly grab control of its elevators and security cameras. Pure Patton is an applying China combines sweet sickness with vicious hand-to-hand fighting technique, and Jamie Renner's brand eating the plot late as an analyst for the IMF secretary. Tom Williams is relieved to have a great many extra analytical skill. Brad Bird and Bungie have a scene reaches a new level of action goodness even for a Mission Impossible movie. Brand's mission and Ethan makes it clear he has to accept it. It is to wear steel mesh underwear and jump into a ventilating staff with wicked spanning fan batteries at the bottom. Benji will hurt his fall with a little mobile magnet at the bottom of this stuff so Brand can break into the massive computer. Runner does an especially nice job of seeming very secretly when he does this. The movie has an unexpected director, Brand Bird, the mark of the such great animated film as The Iron Gant, The Incredible and Rational. Well, why not? Animations, civilization in action, and his film are known for strong. The movie has an unexpected director. Brad Bird, the maker of such great animated film, has The Iron Giant, The Incredible and Road Line. Well, why not? Animation, stylization in action, and his film are known for strong characters. You did think he had been doing thrilling for years. Now I want to get back to Tom Cruise, who will lift climbed to the side of the Burj Khalifa elegant doing his own stunts. I am not saying he did not. No doubt various unseen nerds and wares were also used and at least some CGL whatever. I remember a story Clint Eastwood told me years ago after they made The Existence 1975. The movie has an unexpected director, Brad Bird, the maker of the such great animated film. The Incredible and road lining. Well, why not? Animation, civilization in action, and his film are known for strong cinematography. You did think he did not been doing thrilling for years. Now I want to get back to Tom. Curious, who we live climbing to the side of the Burj Khalifa. Eligible doing his own stunts. I'm not saying he did not. No doubt various unseen nets and rides were also used and at least some CGL whatever. I remember a story Clint Eastwood told me years ago after they made the Eager section 1975. I remember a story Clint Eastwood told me years ago after they made the Eager section 1975. There is a scene in the movie where Clint's character dangles in mid-air at the end of a cable hanging from a mountain. He thousands of feet up. Clint, who also directed, did the scene himself. I did not want to use a stuntman, he said, because I wanted to use a telephoto lens and zoom in slowly all the way to my face. I did not want to use a stuntman, he said, because I wanted to use a telephoto lens and zoom in slowly all the way to my face. So you could see it was really me. I put on a little disguise and supplied into a sneak preview of the film to see how people liked it. When I was hacking up there in the air, the woman in front of me said to her friend, Gee, I wonder how they did that. And her friend said, Specially effects. Note I should add that I saw the film in the IMAX format. Though the skyscraper scene has incredible impact,